How you doing? Alright. You see that? Of course you can. So this is follow-up video to my in the box video that I've done. Built it, Flogger, Italeri 1 in 48, the MF and BN Flogger. I didn't know a great deal about kit when I started it. I couldn't even tell you what the MF and BN Flogger were. It turns out that the BN version, I did the MF. The BN version, designed to perform strike and close support missions. The only real difference on them two versions is the front end. That were it. That were all I could see. A bit of armour plating dark side on BN version, which obviously omitted on this one. And that's just about it really. A little bit of something at front end. Other than that, exactly the same aircraft. I chose the Flogger for a couple of reasons. Number one, primarily, well, because I got 20 quid to spend. Like I said before, I'm searching for eBay and one thing and another, and that, you know, with 20 bar, I mean, what do you want? And the other one was, I've done loads of American and Allied aircraft in past, and I just fancied, you know, I want to add to my collection of adversary. So it just seemed to fit, didn't it, hand in hand. Okay, so I'm not going to mess about. I know you're eager to know how did it go together. Right, glasses on. Glasses on. So I'm going to go through instructions like I normally do. So number one, seat. Seat were 3 parts. Clip, clip, clop, done. Simple. Onto your undercarriage, front undercarriage housing, it's like a bit of a plate, and then you sit seats on top. Dead easy. Control stick, instrument panel, decal on that, done. 2 sides of your fuselage on your nose cone, done. Now the thing with that was that I noticed straight away, as soon as I'd done that, it was a butt fit. So there's no locating pins, there's no recess for it to sort of snug and sit into that you'd think. Basically the fuselage sides go together and it stops, and then you've got your nose cone and it stops, you know, behind your office, and it is literally a flush fit. It's just lather some glue on it, push it together, twist it, line it up, make sure that the curvature of that bit and that bit is married. That's it. I couldn't believe it. And I was dreading a massive seam and one thing and another. I've got to say though, look at me, I feel drained. 9 out of 10. It weren't actually that bad. It did go together quite well, so I was happy with that. Little bit of nose weight on. 20 grains. I thought it were grams. I think it's grains. 20 grains. It might be grams, I'm not sure, but that was just a couple of ball bearings shoved in with some blue tack. So your nose goes on. You've got to choose which version you're doing. Don't forget the BN or the MF version, because they do have different noses, and like I said, they do have the front end is different, and I chose the MF version because I like the grey bird with the white nose and the blue writing. That was it. There were no theatrical about it. It was just, that's it. Okay, so cockpit, front end, cockpit in, seat in, 2 sides together, nose on, and a butt joint. Once that's done, that's done. Okay, as far as detail is concerned on inside, I knew straight away as soon as I looked at the clear parts, and I thought, chuffing hell, that's tiny, that, especially for a 1 in 48. Bearing in mind I've done the Persian cat, and the canopy on that 1 in 48, I mean, chuffing hell, it'll fit on my car. It's absolutely enormous. So when you look at this and you think, you're not going to be able to see a great deal in there, and you can't. So painted it in that sort of Russian blue that it's got. Stuck my instrument panel on, stuck my decal on, that's it, job's done. Listen, if you want to go to town and weather inside, fill your boots, are you going to benefit from that? And is anybody that sees your model going to benefit from that? No, they're not. Because you just can't see in it. Okay, it's dead simple. Moving on, stage 2 says put your wings together, which you do, and sit them inside bottom half of your fuselage on 2 upward pins, so your wings sit on, because they've got holes in and they've got that mechanism. And then put your top on. I've written on my notes, simple but no detail. Okay, simple but no detail. And there's no detail on this kit whatsoever. Panel lines are raised, said previously. The flaps, that's it, the flaps and the slats, they're sunken lines, so I managed to put a bit of a pin wash in there. Tail goes together, again, simple 2 halves. Your stabilisers at the back, they're one piece, you don't even need to glue them together, they just slot into holes. Exhaust on back just slots in, and then again I'm going to offer this up just to show you, look, just to see what I mean. Can you see, look down at the bottom where it's a flat plate, and you've got your flat plate on your front end, and it literally just goes together. Alright, that might put some people off. Butt joint I wrote on there, wished I'd have known. Anyway, regardless, moving on. So basically at this point you've got your front end, you've got your lower and upper and your wings on, you've got your tail on, you've got your stabilisers on at back. Then you come on to your air intakes. Again, simple, that's all I've wrote. Now on the box art it shows this bird in flight, and there's a massive stabiliser underneath, and obviously in flight it's down. But as said previously, before I start a build, I always sort of like go on Google and YouTube and one thing or another, because I've noticed, and before I did all that, I've drawn a massive big question mark, because it showed that stabler in a flat position, and I'm thinking, well, kit's a bag of shit as it is, so maybe instructions are wrong as well. Why are they showing it like that? Turns out, as soon as this bird lands on ground, that stabiliser comes into that position. I think it's because it's that big, and it's massive. I think it might catch ground or something, you know, when it's sort of like coming into land. I don't know. The breath on me that you can see, by the way, it's not particularly cold in shed tonight. I've got my little fire on. Next on, stage 5 is undercarriage, and again a misaligned instruction that don't need to go on. Build it for sure. Detail on it is alright. So let me have a think. 2 wheel halves that go together, hole at one side, slots, 2 pins, yeah, dead easy. No problem with that at all. Built it, primed it, painted it, glossed it, welded it and all that sort of stuff, but you just put that in your bits box because it doesn't need to go on yet. Stage 6 is exactly the same but for port side, and I've wrote off the leave off. Next bit, you've got some little attachments to go on now. There's some that you can put on and there's some that you can leave off. I'm just going to point there, you probably can't see this unless you're watching it on a 55-inch telly. You've got a little aerial there, leave that off. But you've got 2 little bits here, I put them on because they follow in with paint job. Your pitted tube, obviously leave that off, and your canopy, it's entirely up to you, isn't it? As it happens, I put my front end on, I masked it off first, but put that on. But my top half I just left it off because that doesn't need to go on right now. Stage 8 is for your MF versions, which is A, B and C. Now then, what have I written here? Central fuel tank. Alright, okay, so on instructions, for your armament layout, you've obviously got pylons and missiles and unguided and one thing or another, and there's 2 fuel tanks, 1 each for your wing, but then there's a central one. And again, I'm getting to the stage and you think, well, 3 fuel tanks on this bird that's carrying 4 missiles and a 23mm cannon. How far do they think that this bird is going to fly? Have they got to have a shitload of external fuel tanks because the body itself isn't big enough to carry enough fuel to get it from A to B? 3 fuel tanks. Anyway. So the central fuel tank on the pylon, once you've got your undercarriage on, the undercarriage, it's the funniest bloody thing I've ever seen in my life. I watched some YouTube videos on it coming down and then retracting, and as it's sort of like, as it's down, when it comes up it's like like that. This sounds really stupid. You ought to go on YouTube and type in MiG 23 undercarriage retraction or whatever you need to put in, and you'll see it is the most contorted thing I've ever seen in my chuffing life. You think a Jag's bad? Jag's got note on that. So I'm waffling. So even though I got me undercarriage on dry fit at this point, and my central fuel tank dry fit, the central fuel tank actually sits too low, and once it's resting on the ground, the wheels are here, right? But then when you put your central fuel tank on, which is curved obviously at bottom, that's sort of like here, like that. So it sits on fuel tank and then it does that on wheels, because the wheels don't touch the chuffing ground. So I had to leave it off. I had options then. I could have either fit one of the big unguided bombs, or fit the cannon, or just short chuff on it and leave it. So I would have been, oh god, I can't believe that. So I put the fuel tank in my bits bin, because that'll come in for something else, and built the bomb. Primed it, painted it, weathered it, lovely. Put it on. And at that point you're like, ah. So took it off, tossed it, left it. And I'll put the, I'm saying I will, not I have, I will put the cannon on, because it's just a simple matter of sticking it on, no problem. So you've got to be mindful of that. Rest of them, bombs and missiles, simple like rest of kit, just glue them together and on you go. And then stage 9, it weren't me, because it was same, pardon me, what same as stage 7, which is put your aerials on and your bits and bats, but for the BN version. And then stage 10 weren't for me either, because that was the BN armament version. So basically, come stage 8, I've done it. That's our 8 stages for a 1 in 48. It beggars belief, doesn't it? That's how simple this Italeri kit is. Alright. And you say, I'm just getting into modelling, what do you think I ought to build? Something dead easy, something dead simple that, you know, build that. Because literally, chicka 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 chicka, bleh, there it is, it's that easy. Down at back at book, then you've got all your colour call outs, and I said in video number 1 I'd chosen this particular one, this B. So you've got A, B, C, D, E, whatever, MiG 23, MF 231 blue, Russian Federation Air Museum, Monio, Moscow 2018. Just to liven this bird up, I did actually order some aftermarket decals. I'm just sort of looking around now, that's what I'm looking for. I've ordered some aftermarket decals just to sort of tart up just the odd build that I do, because sometimes they're ever so bland. And this was absolute, you know, point in case. So I just ordered some aftermarket decals, and again, there's some Grim Reapers on there, and they're sweet as a nut from Spain. Some Grim Reaper and another one, some lettering Little Sally. So I've called this one Angel of Death, Grim Reaper decal set, Little Sally. Simple as that. It doesn't throw any issues up, none whatsoever, apart from that front end. But I'm not going to labour on about it, because what I thought were going to be an issue turned out actually it weren't. I didn't put any filler in this kit whatsoever, not one bead. And that goes a lot to say, you know, towards the sort of engineering part of it, where you'd fit air intakes and it might take a little bead of filler down air intakes, or, you know, across here where your vertical stabilizer is, and not, but it didn't take any. It were a lovely snug fit. Couple of omissions that I did have to sort out myself, and I know, I'm sure I'm telling you because you can't see. Your nav lights on your wings, it's usually a little sort of notch out, isn't it? None on, so I had to get my blade and carefully just sort of like make that notch, to fill that in with micro crystal clear, the white glue that sets, and then painted that red and green like you do. Same at back. Let's just have a little look at her underneath. As far as weathering's concerned, because there's no panel lines on this kit apart from these flaps and slats, I said in video 1 it were all going to come down to paint job, and that's exactly what it came down to. Airbrushing with X19 Tamiya Smoke, just to sort of like put some streaks down it, and then some oil washers just to sort of simulate rain that's fallen down the body. And that's what it's come down to. Underneath, if I dare pick it up, I dare. So you can see the little thing there. Look, it's sort of laid flat. Exhaust, no drama whatsoever. Undercarriage, you can see if I just hold it up to the camera like that. Such a funny affair is that. Couple of antennas on, couple of missiles, pods and one thing or another. One thing that I did do, and I did this on Persian Cat, my fuel tanks they're on, you can see, and now they're off because they've got magnets on and magnets on there. So that's just a simple case of doing that. You know, I'm sort of playing about with that at the minute. It sits nice, it's alright, it's not brilliant by any stretch of imagination. There is another Flogger out there in 1 in 48. I know that there's more than this, but I've not done a lot of research on it. I've got a couple of mates, Alistair, mate, who said, oh, you know, you ought to look at Phil Flory, he's done this particular version. I have not watched it. I've not watched it because I know I'd be like, you'd be wrenching me heart out, and I'd be thinking, what the chuff have I bought here? But for 20 quid, you know, it's cheaper than a night on town, it's cheaper than a box of shotgun shells, it's cheaper than paying for a peg and going and sitting out in this cold and fishing. I'm sat in my garage and I'm having a build and I've got something to show for it. And that's what matters to me. Alright, so what would I score the kit out of 10? 4. I'd score it a 4. A good 4 though, because at the end of the day, if there were panel lines on this kit, let me correct this kit. If there were panel lines all over this kit and rivet detail that took a wash, that's 1. If the undercarriage structure had have been a little bit better, that would have got another point. That's 2. If the office had have had a lot more detail in it, that would have been another point. That's 3. Decals were all alright. If that nose section had have fit with to follow the contour, that would have been another point. So we're up to 8 points now. And then I'd be saying, for 20 quid, would I build it again? Yeah, I probably would, because there's 6 versions. There's camo versions and grey versions, there's all sorts of stuff. And for 20-25 quid, with all that extra detail on, and then I always say, would I build it again? And I even said to Persian Cat, would I build it again? And I went, nah. You know, in reflection, you know, I'd knock 10 of them out compared to one of these. But if all that detail had been included in this kit for 25, even pushing 27.99, 30 quid, and you say, well, would you build it again? The answer would be yes. So, but that's probably what that other kit is that Phil's done. So what does that tell you? It tells you that you get what you pay for, doesn't it? That's just about it. Would I build it again? No. It's just not enough detail. Go out and buy a scriber and a riveter. Well, I looked on eBay before I actually started this, and scribers that I've seen are 25 bar. That's more than I paid for kit. And the riveters are 25 bar, so that's 50 quid worth of equipment just to bring that up to an 8 out of 10. Yes, I'd be able to use that equipment on future stuff, but I just couldn't justify spending that much money, 50 quid, to bring a 20 quid kit up to spec. Does that make sense? Alright. Paint went down absolutely great. Tamiya paint through my Bart Sharp 186, 0.2, 15 psi. I never change that. It's just front crown off and away you go. Never get any drama with that. Oils, I put some oil washers on it. I've got my little stand here. I don't spend a fortune on oil. I'm not into that Newton and Windsor stuff. I've not got any of that. I just use these paints from the range. Daler Rowney, 12 millilitres oil paint. Just put it onto your kitchen towel and they do so exactly the same. So I haven't gone to town with that. And like I said, the rest of it was just Tamiya paint. That just about sums it up. I've enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed it. And if you build it, it is a throw together kit. You could probably do this in about 10 hours. Because that's probably on and off over the last couple of weeks. How long it's taken me. And there might be another hour or two in just sort of streaking it and putting some oil washers on it and all that sort of stuff. But for a basic build, it is very, very simple. And it takes no time at all. That's about right, that's what it is. It's going to go with rest in my collection now. Still proud of it, still done it, do you know what I mean? Don't knock it for that, alright? No, I'm no elitist person, okay? I'm just like you, just your average Joe guy that likes to knock kits together, alright? Thanks a lot for watching. Next one I'm going to have a little bit of a change. And I am going to do that review tonight. I'm going to do the Revel 144 Space Shuttle. See how that goes. Alright, catch you later.